Welcome to part 3 of the history of pots. We're going to go back to the Middle Ages today, and this is really where the gender differences start showing, and we start to see more and more of what I think were pot symptoms being chalked up to women, anxiety, swooning, and just generally a weaker composition. During the Middle Ages, we start to see a lot of depictions of women, what I would call fainting gracefully. These depictions are a lot more prominent among the aristocracy. The art then starts showing women in stressful, emotional situations as being delicate or prone to hysteria. And there's often a depiction of some chivalrous man catching her as she falls, as she swoons onto the floor or in front of a large group of people. What's really interesting is fainting then, from what I've found, was actually a sign of virtue, purity. What's really interesting, and this lines up with what we know today about pots, I have only found one depiction of a non-aristocrat fainting. There's one painting, which I'll share it here, of a peasant woman who is fainting. Most of it, from what I've found, is probably depicted because of the heat and from her working hard in the fields. But otherwise, it's always the aristocracy or the upper class that was depicted as fainting. Let's talk about why. Well, I've heard some people say that this was generally because maybe the upper class was painted more. There's a lot of depictions of middle and lower class throughout art. I think in this instance, it actually shows what we already know through research. And research has shown that almost every single person that has pots would benefit from being physically strong in some way. It is not a cure, obviously, we've discussed this before, but what's really interesting is even throughout history, as we're looking at art, it's always showing women who had low muscle tone.